Good morning, travelers. In today's video, I'm going to show you a city where cars and bikes are not allowed, that has one of the narrowest streets on Earth, that sinks 2 millimeters every year, and that has the oldest carnival and casino in the world. Venice is a city built on water. It sits on over 100 small islands in a marshy lagoon of the Adriatic Sea. The whole city is held up by millions of wooden poles, hammered into the mud centuries ago. This city doesn't have streets or roads. Instead, it has canals. There are about 150 canals and more than 400 bridges. The main canal is the Grand Canal, with only 4 bridges crossing it. In this city, land vehicles are not allowed. That means no cars and no bikes. You can only walk or travel by boat. Varisco Street is one of the narrowest streets in the world, at just 53 centimeters wide. Its name means dangerous or unsafe, because, well, you could literally get stuck if you don't turn sideways. Can you imagine how you'd manage with your grocery bags? Gondolas must be black by law, and that was to stop nobles from trying to outdo each other. Only the inside can be decorated. But to be a gondolier, you need over 400 hours of training, and only a few licenses are given out each year. Giorgia Boscolo was the first female gondolier and got her license in 2010, breaking centuries of male tradition. Crossing the Grand Canal by gondola costs €2 if you use the local service. Venice has the oldest carnival in the world. It's been celebrated since 1296. Napoleon stopped it because he was worried about secret plans. But this city also has the world's first casino. The Ridotto opened in 1638 to control gambling during Carnival. St. Mark's Square is one of the most important places in Venice. It's actually made up of 2 connected squares. There's the main square right in front of St. Mark's Basilica, and the smaller square that links the whole area to the sea. St. Mark's Square started in the 11th century as a small area in front of the first St. Mark's Basilica, an older building than the one there now. It was first dedicated to St. Theodore, Venice's first patron saint. That's why we see St. Mark and St. Theodore on the columns in the little square next to the Grand Canal. It was made bigger to its current shape and size in 1177. The changes were made for the meeting of Pope Alexander III and Emperor Frederick Barbarossa. The square has always been the center of Venice. It has been the base of the archbishopric since the 19th century. It was the site of many festivals and is a very popular place in Italy. It was paved in the late 13th century with alternating diagonal bricks, with lines that helped organize the market and the very frequent ceremonial parades. Then, in 1723, the bricks were replaced with a geometric design made of dark volcanic stone and white stones, and they took the chance to raise the square by about 1 meter. St. Mark's Square is the lowest spot in Venice. From October to March, something called high water happens. The tide floods low areas, and they have to put up raised walkways. When the water rises because of storms from the Adriatic Sea or too much rain, this square is the first to get flooded. The water goes through the drains right into the Grand Canal. This is great when it rains, but when the tide comes in, it does the opposite. The water from the canal comes up through the drains into the square. The square is surrounded by the Basilica, the Doge's Palace, and the Basilica's Campanile, which stands tall beside it. Venice only has one official square. The only square is St. Mark's. The others are called Campos. St. Mark's Basilica is the main Catholic church in Venice and a masterpiece of Byzantine architecture in the area. Its story goes back to the 11th century, when it was built to hold the holy items of St. Mark, which were taken from Alexandria. Over the years, it has been changed and made bigger many times, adding Gothic and Romanesque styles, which makes it a cool mix of different styles. It's famous for its more than 4,000 square meters of golden mosaics, many from the 13th century that cover its domes and walls, telling Bible stories and the history of the basilica itself. It has 500 old columns and treasures brought from the Crusades, especially from the Fourth Crusade with the conquest of Constantinople, like the famous 4 bronze horses, whose copies are on display outside. But the real ones are in the museum and the Pala d'Oro, a golden altarpiece with precious stones. St. Mark's Basilica is a symbol of the power and wealth of the Republic of Venice. It's also a super important spot for the city's religious and public life. It welcomes hundreds of thousands of visitors every year. And it's an amazing example of how different cultures came together. And it shows how creative people were throughout history. It's open from 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And on Sundays and holidays, it's open from 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. You can't take pictures inside, but from the museum's terrace, you get amazing views. St. Mark's Basilica isn't just a monument. It's an experience for your senses, history, and spirit. The Doge's Palace in Venice is a famous Gothic building. It's located in St. Mark's Square. It started as a strong castle in the 800s. After a fire, it was rebuilt. For over 1,000 years, it was the home of the Doge, the center of government, and the courthouse for the powerful Republic of Venice. It's seen as a masterpiece of Venetian Gothic style. The palace mixes Byzantine, Gothic, and Renaissance building styles. Its front is famous for being so beautiful, thanks to a rebuild in the 15th century. Inside, you'll see rich details, like marble from Verona and sculptures, and it holds important artworks by Titian, Tintoretto, and Bellini. A visit to the Doge's Palace is very popular and includes highlights like the Scala dei Giganti, a grand staircase where the Doge was crowned. The Scala d'Oro, an amazing golden staircase that leads to the main halls. The Doge's apartment, rooms richly decorated with paintings that tell the story of Venice. The Armory, where armor and weapons are collected. The Great Council Hall is the largest room in the palace, where Venetian nobles met. Here you'll find Tintoretto's Paradise, the largest canvas in the world. To visit the Doge's Palace, there are a few ways to buy tickets. You can buy them at the ticket office, but this isn't the best choice because of the long lines, especially during busy times. You can buy them on the official website or book ahead of time to avoid waiting. Or you can book a guided tour, which lets you skip the lines and not miss anything, with guides available in many languages. There are options for guided tours of just the Doge's Palace, or combined with St. Mark's Basilica. Entrance to the Doge's Palace is included if you get the Venezia Unica City Pass. The Doge's Palace is a testament to the wealth and power and history of Venice, offering visitors a deep dive into the city's glorious past.
St. Mark's Campanile is the tallest building in Venice, standing at 98 meters tall, and it offers amazing views of the city. First built in the 10th century, the tower was used as a lighthouse and a bell tower. Over hundreds of years, the bell tower was damaged by earthquakes, lightning, and storms, until it finally fell down on July 14, 1902. Luckily, it was rebuilt to look exactly like the original between 1903 and 1912, keeping its shape and feel. The bells, which had different jobs during the Venetian Republic, like the Marangona for the workday or the Malefico for death sentences, were copied. The Campanile stands out because it's separate from St. Mark's Basilica, which is common for Italian bell towers. Its design has a decorated base and top, with a middle part made of orange bricks. The top has white arches and openings that give you wide views. At the very top, almost 100 meters high, there's a golden statue of the Archangel Gabriel, which also works as a weather vane. Inside the tower, there are over 8,000 square meters of mosaics that tell Bible stories. Today, visitors can go up to the top of the bell tower by elevator to see views of St. Mark's Basilica, the Church of Santa Maria della Salute, and on clear days, even nearby islands like Murano. To avoid the long lines that often form in St. Mark's Square, it's a good idea to buy your ticket online. It costs €15, but it saves you a lot of waiting time. The Rialto Bridge, located in the heart of Venice, is the oldest of the 4 bridges that cross the Grand Canal. It's also one of the most famous in all of Italy. Its story starts in the 12th century with wooden structures that were rebuilt many times because of fires and collapses. The final bridge was built between 1588 and 1591. To make it stable on the soft ground, over 12,000 wooden piles were used. And its unique arch design 28 meters long and 7.5 meters high, was a daring engineering feat for its time. More than just a way to get between the San Marco and San Polo districts, the Rialto Bridge has been the business center of Venice for centuries. It has shops on both sides of the main walkway, a tradition that goes back to the Middle Ages when the wooden bridge already had merchants. Next to it is the Rialto Market, which has been active since the 11th century, where fresh produce, seafood and local spices are still sold. Its name, Rialto, means high ground, referring to its smart location to avoid floods. It's also known as the Bridge of Lovers, where they say a kiss under its arch brings good luck. Today, the Rialto Bridge is one of the most photographed attractions in the city. From its side walkways, you can get amazing views of the Grand Canal, especially at sunrise or sunset. The bridge is still a symbol of Venice's rich history, art and trade. And it's a place you just can't miss on any visit to the City of Canals. The Grand Canal is more than just a waterway. It's the beating heart of Venice, a natural main street, 3.8 kilometers long, that winds like an upside-down S, serving as the city's main transportation route. Unlike a river, this grand waterway is the daily stage for gondolas, vaporetti and cargo boats, a living testament to Venice's uniqueness without land vehicles. Its banks are lined with over 170 magnificent buildings, dating from the 13th to the 18th century. These impressive structures were not only homes, but also business centers for the wealthiest and most powerful merchant families. Each palace tells a story of secrets and good fortune, turning the Grand Canal into an open-air architectural museum. The canal is also the setting for lively Venetian traditions, especially the amazing regatta every first Sunday of September, a parade and race of traditional boats that celebrates the city's rich sea history. For visitors, riding a gondola on the Grand Canal offers a romantic and personal experience, while a vaporetto lets you admire the grandness of the palaces and Venetian life from a different and easy-to-access viewpoint. In short, the Grand Canal shows off Venice's history, wealth and unique beauty, being a place that charms you every moment. The Bridge of Sighs is one of the most famous and photographed landmarks in Venice, but its story is much darker than its romantic name suggests. Even though many people think the bridge got its name from lovers' sighs, its real origin is much more gloomy. It was built in the early 1600s, between 1602 and 1603. The bridge, which is Baroque in style and made of white marble, connects the Doge's palace, where the courts were, to the new prison. It was the last hallway prisoners walked through before being locked in their cells. The name comes from the sighs of despair and sadness that prisoners made as they looked out of its small windows. The most famous prisoner, Giacomo Casanova, the famous adventurer and charmer, was one of the few prisoners who managed to escape from the Doge's palace prisons, likely by crossing this bridge. To cross the Bridge of Sighs from the inside and see what the prisoners saw, you have to go through the Doge's palace. From its grates, you can get a sad view of the outside. The classic photo, the most iconic view of the bridge, is from the Bridge of Straw, a nearby bridge. Hundreds of tourists stop there to get the perfect picture of the Bridge of Sighs, with the Doge's palace on the left and the new prison on the right. A modern and very popular legend among tourists says that if two lovers kiss at sunset in a gondola while passing under the Bridge of Sighs, their love will last forever. It's one of the most requested experiences for couples. Although the one in Venice is the most famous, there are other bridges with the same name in places like the United Kingdom and Peru, inspired by the original. The Bridge of Sighs is a Baroque masterpiece that, despite its sad beginning, has become a symbol of Venice and a dreamy place for millions of visitors. Get ready for a fascinating trip to two of the most charming islands in the Venice Lagoon, Murano and Burano. Each one has its own personality and secrets that make them unforgettable. Murano is known for its blown glass. It's not a coincidence. In 1291, the Republic of Venice moved all glass factories to this island to prevent fires in the main city, which was mostly made of wood back then. This also helped keep the precious art of glassmaking a secret. For centuries, Murano glassmasters were treated almost like royalty, with special rights like being able to marry women from Venetian noble families. But they couldn't leave the island without permission, so the secrets of their art wouldn't get out. The recipes were passed down from fathers to sons. Visiting a glass factory is a must. You'll get to see the masters use fire and air to turn sand into delicate and amazing works of art. It's a mesmerizing dance. For those who love it, there's a museum with an amazing collection of over 4,000 pieces that show the history of glass from Roman times to today. About a 45-minute Vaporetto ride from Venice, you'll find Burano Island, which is a bright contrast to Murano. Here, what will really take your breath away are its bright and colorful houses. It's said that fishermen, when they came back from fishing in the thick fog of the lagoon, painted their houses in bright colors so they could see them from far away and find their way home. Burano is famous worldwide for its beautiful needle lace. This tradition, which is hundreds of years old, became popular in the 15th century. Even though it's hard to find real handmade pieces today because they're super expensive and take weeks to make. Here you can visit the Lace Museum to learn about this delicate craft. A legend says that a young fisherman, while thinking about his fiancée, heard the singing of mermaids. When he resisted their charm, the mermaids gave him a veil of sea foam, which became the first Burano lace. Just like Pisa, Burano has its own leaning bell tower at the Church of San Martino Vescovo. The island is considered one of the 10 most colorful places in the world. Don't leave without trying a fish risotto and some of the island's famous butter cookies. The most common and cheapest way to get to both islands is by Vaporetto, which is a water bus. Both islands are perfect for walking around, getting lost in their streets, and enjoying the local crafts and beauty. A trip to Murano and Burano is a feast for your senses. And that brings us to the end of our trip through Venice. I hope you enjoyed it and that it helps you plan your next visit to this amazing city. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss any of our trips. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.